Hi everyone, welcome back. Thanks for joining us today. We've got a brand new story to share with you, so let's get started. Good evening, John. What's wrong, sweetheart? You look upset. Dave knows about us. He ran into me this morning and said one of his friends saw us yesterday evening at the restaurant. Oh, this could complicate things. It's not the end of the world, Jean. We talked about this possibility. I know, John, but when it happened, it hurt. After all, Dave and I have been married for 25 years and we have 2 children. What did you tell him? I told him almost the same thing we agreed on. I didn't deny it. You know, I'm not a compulsive liar. As I said, I mostly stuck to the script you suggested. I told him the truth. What? Are you a successful career woman? A lawyer, no less. Who has been married to a simple mechanic for almost her entire conscious life? A guy who never tried to better himself. In your life, you wanted to be with an alpha male, someone equal to you, a man who can. I'm not saying you're a taker, but you do cater to your every whim. I'm not saying you're not a good guy, but don't belittle him too much. He has his own business and his profession provides for the children and me. It's just that when we rehearsed this, it seemed like I deserved someone like you. But when he reminded me of years of support, both emotionally and financially, that's when I realized this wasn't quite what I wanted. Did you understand what I meant? Did you tell him everything? What if he doesn't agree to a status quo? Then the company will support you in the divorce and leave him penniless. Yes, I did. John, the only problem is that he seemed indifferent to all of this. He kept saying that he can't believe I'm betraying him after all his dedication. I tried to tell him that I'm not rejecting him, I just feel like I deserve a little more, but I don't think he understood that I don't want to lose him. You told me it took you places your old husband hadn't taken you in years. Did you or did you not say you never had such sex? I did, John, but I also told you I didn't have that experience when I married Dave. He was always so gentle. You're so different. You're dominant and demanding, and it just captivated me. I'll keep destroying. You know, your husband is going to have to accept that you've got a new dimension to you now. He's lost his status as the alpha male. I'm the alpha male here, and he'll have to come to terms with that. It's pretty uncomfortable for me to think that I was worth 25 years of marriage to you. I'll get some documents ready and then I'll go to him this afternoon. Leave me his workshop address. I'll get John to give me everything he can think of. Jean, you know the game we play with all these gullible fools. I'll get a restraining order to stop him approaching you, me or your home. I'll freeze the bank accounts of his company. That's just the beginning. I'll hit him with papers, he has no right to know about that. It's just a bluff. Your husband will soon realize who the alpha is here. Believe me, darling. By the time I'm done with him, he'll beg you to give him anything you desire. I don't know, John. You didn't see his face this morning. 1417 Master Brown, may I come in? My name is I know. You're who I'm talking to, which is good because it saves time. Jenny told you this morning that we've agreed to keep things as they are, even in the near future. She didn't tell you why you should agree to this. If I could just leave my portfolio here, that would be great. Thanks. You might not know this, but I own the company where Jenny works for me, so I've got over 20 lawyers on my team. I can guarantee that each one has a great track record of winning cases. Over half of them have experience in family law, so I'm sure they'll be able to help you. These documents are exactly what I've prepared. Let me quickly run through these documents with you. This is a divorce petition, which your wife has already signed. This is an order to freeze the accounts of your company until the business is sold under a global agreement. This is an order giving you 24 hours to leave your marital home. These restraining orders are confining you at least 200 meters away from me, Jenny, her home and our workplace. Do you understand where this will all lead, Dave? I'll sue you so much that you won't even be able to move. You'll give up in the end when you won't have a penny left to find a better lawyer in the world. And you know what? All this time, I'll be sleeping with your wife, Dave. He interrupts calmly, I see you're stronger and more powerful than me, but you must understand that Neanderthals no longer rule the world. Brains have triumphed over muscles many years ago. Listen, Master Brown, this shouldn't be like this. Let's just maintain the status quo. Okay, I'll continue to sleep with her whenever I want. You'll sleep with her when she wants, like you have for the last 4 months. She'll get tired of you and then she'll be all yours again. I've said my part. Let's face the truth. If you were everything she needed, we wouldn't be here now, would we? My advice is just accept it, think about it, and use it as an opportunity for self-improvement. One piece of advice, though, back off from your wife. I took her from you, not because I was the most charming guy who tried, but because I was an alpha male and told her how it would end, just like I'll deal with you. Composed, Dave? Are you done talking, big mouth? Like most people in modern society, you don't really understand what it means to be an alpha male, do you? I'm not going to give you a simple definition, John. You'll have to think about it. Come on then, explain what it means. Dave was right. It's better to see once than hear 100 times without warning. Without warning, Dave's fist flew forward, connecting with John's jaw with a sickening crunch. The sound of teeth breaking echoed through the workshop. John crumpled to the floor, his back sliding against the wall. The wall was an expression of utter disbelief, contorting the undamaged side of his face. Let's look at illustration number 1, Dave muttered before John could process the pain. Dave drove his fist into John's diaphragm, knocking the air from his lungs. John collapsed onto his side, gasping for breath, his body curling up in agony. That's illustration number 2. As John lay struggling for breath, Dave's boot, capped with steel, came down hard on John's outstretched arm. A sharp snap rang out. As his wrist and hand broke, John screamed. His voice was raw, mixed with the ringing in his ears. Then came a kick to the ribs, which sent John's body skidding across the floor. The sickening crack of ribs breaking was unmistakable. These were illustrations 3 and 4. Dave said, in a calm but chilling voice, as he towered over John. John was writhing on the floor, groaning in pain. His once confident smirk was replaced with sheer terror. Master Alpha, Dave sneered, it would be very helpful if you stopped squealing. I'm trying to teach you something here. Dave placed his hand gently on John's throat, just enough pressure to hold him still but not enough to crush his windpipe. Thanks for making me break the promise I made to myself back in school, never to use my size and strength in anger. I was going to spare you the consequences of Jin's actions. You barged in here tonight and provoked me, but even calm men have their breaking points. John's eyes met Dave's as he struggled beneath his boot. Let me go, Dave continued, leaning down slightly. The term alpha male comes from wolf packs. The alpha wolf is the one who tells everyone else what to do. He's not always the smartest wolf, and he's not even always the biggest wolf. But he's the nastiest bastard around. He kills without hesitation. He's absolutely ruthless. You son, Dave, leaned in closer. His voice was a deadly whisper, you don't even come close, JK. His lips quivered, but no words came out. You may be an alpha in the small, air-conditioned world of your office, but here in the real world, you're just another weak wolf. You don't even qualify for that. You didn't bring a single. Dave pressed his foot harder against John's throat, watching as John's face turned red from the pressure. Now let's look at the possible future, Dave continued. The first option is that you report this to the police. Maybe they'll arrest me, maybe not. Maybe they'll release me. On bail, or maybe not. They might pin it all on me, or maybe not. There are a lot of mays. John. Worst case scenario, I'll get 5 years in prison. 5 years to learn how to hurt people more efficiently, how to kill and hide a body so no one ever finds it. And when I'm done with that education, we'll have another chat. Dave released the pressure from John's throat, letting him gasp for air, or Dave continued, "You can put this down to experience. Use it as a lesson in what happens when you mess with another man's wife." "Right, straight again. Get out of my workshop. I need to clean up. Thanks to you bleeding and pissing all over my beautiful clean floor." Jayan groaned, barely able to move. "One more thing," Jayan Dave added, with a dark grin. "Alpha, my son." Moments later, John's voice crackled through his phone. "John, I'm waiting for you at the office. I thought you'd been back for ages. Where are you?" John struggled to pull the phone from his pocket with his one unbroken hand. His voice was weak as he replied, "I was just admitted to the ward after a 3, Gene, I was so worried when I heard about your accident. I thought you'd been in an accident, but I didn't realize it was so bad. I went to see your husband alone, and I really messed up. I didn't realize he was so violent. He broke my nose, left arm, several ribs and possibly my cheekbone. I can't believe it. I thought Dave was a nice guy. I'm sorry, Gene. I can show you the x-rays if you want. Oh my God, I can't believe this. It's not my Dave." "Well, believe it," John groaned, every word dripping with pain. "And Gene, the police already called. I told them I was hit by an unknown driver." "Wait, what? Why didn't you press charges? Your sweet, gentle husband told me this is just the first installment of what I can expect if I press charges. I can't risk it again, Gene. I've decided to keep quiet." It's 0 o'clock. The next day, in John's hospital room. "John, you have to help me." Jen's voice broke through the sterile silence of the room. She was pale, trembling with desperation. "Last night, I worked until 8 to 8. I didn't know if it would be safe to go back home. I tried calling Dave, but he never picked up. When I finally mustered the courage to go back, I found that all the locks had been changed and I couldn't get in. I had to stay at my sister's house. Morning. Our bank accounts are empty and the credit cards are blocked. You have to help me, John." Shaking his head, Gene said, "But why? If I use the company's resources to help you, he'll have a reason to come after me again. In fact, to cover myself, you're fired. I'll pay you 4 weeks of severance if you gather your things and leave today." Gene stared at him in disbelief. "You can't be serious after everything." "I'm serious, Gene. Tell Dave I fired you. Maybe that'll help." Jen's voice broke with anger and desperation. "You're pathetic, John. Yesterday you were boasting about being an alpha male. Today you're trembling and worried that my husband, who's 10 times bigger than you, is hiding under your bed. How could I ever think I'd be a queen if I ended up with you? It's beyond me." John's face was a mix of pain and exhaustion, but her words stung. He was hurt and wanted to respond, but he couldn't find the words to justify himself. Gene laughed and said, "I never thought I'd take a cheater like you seriously." She shook her head and walked away from the bed. "Good luck with your broken bones, John. Maybe next time, pick a fight you can win." She turned on her heel and left the hospital room without another glance. She slammed the door behind her. Epilogue 10. On the same day, Jennifer Brown was sitting in her car on the roadside, frustrated. Her bank accounts were drained, and her credit cards were frozen. It was only a matter of time before she ran out of fuel. Now she was stuck alone on the side of a desolate highway. She glanced at her phone. She had been trying to call her 2 children since 10 in the morning. Over the years they had always replied within an hour, but today nothing. Not a single response. "Come on," she muttered to herself, checking her messages again in vain. She sighed deeply, tossing her useless phone onto the passenger seat with a resigned breath. She grabbed her purse and she got out of the car and straightened her skirt, as if that small act could somehow restore control over the chaos that had become her life. She walked to the side of the road, looking at the horizon for any passing cars. A beaten-up van appeared in the distance, slowly approaching. Jennifer raised her thumb in a half. She made a determined effort to hitch a ride. As the van drew nearer, the driver, A man with a scruffy appearance and a wide, toothy grin, glanced at her through the roll-down window. His eyes seemed to hold a dark and predatory gleam. He asked if she needed a lift. Jennifer hesitated for a moment but then nodded her head in agreement. She explained that she had run out of gas. The man smiled even wider and told her to hop in. He added that he would take her wherever she needed to go. Jennifer climbed into the van, unaware of the dangerous look in the man's eyes as he watched her settle into the vehicle. The driver smiled even wider when he saw Jennifer settle into the seat beside him as the van pulled back onto the road. He wouldn't call himself an alpha male, even though he was wise enough to know that's not what loners like him were called. As the van sped down the highway away from the stalled car, his smile widened into something far more sinister. This stretch of road had always been productive for him. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more stories like this. See you next time.